Chris Williams. Two of my favorite movies were directed by this next gentleman, Meet the Robinsons and the Winnie the Pooh movie, which I love. Love the Winnie the Pooh movie. Here is Steve Anderson. Next, the writer of Emperor's New Groove, recently released from hospital to be with us tonight. He's also the Oscar-nominated writer of a little film you have heard of called Finding Nemo. Yeah, he's here with us, Dave Reynolds. A veteran of animation, a good friend, and one of the true talents behind probably the last 30 years of films at the studio, and the producer of Emperor's New Groove is with us tonight. Please welcome Randy Fullmer. Yes, that's great. And last but not least, the ringmaster of all this craziness, yes, the director himself is with us tonight. An unusual round of applause, please, for the director of Emperor's New Groove, Mark Dindal, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Now that's a beautiful, august body. Here in September, not us. Listen, we want to talk about the making of the movie, gentlemen. So I want to go way, way back, and this may be a Randy question. This movie started with an idea including some travel to a place called Machu Picchu in Peru. Can you talk a little bit about the earliest ideas of Emperor's New Groove and kind of where it came from, and kind of traveling to Peru to study a little bit about the Incas? And then eventually that was all thrown out, but go ahead.
I remember going to Peru. Yeah, we had a Kingdom of the Sun wild story that had 1,500 elements, and Sting writing a lot of songs, and we worked and worked and worked on it for 3 years, and we thought, this isn't really going anywhere, let's make a different movie. In all candor, folks. So
yeah, we're talking about everything.
That in Peru. We learned very quickly that the best way to make a movie is to use up most of the money and most of the time, and then get some really wacky people and put them in a room, and a good movie comes out.
Well, it did in this case, that's for sure. So that you're the only one left who went on that early Peru field trip, and then the only thing left from that field trip is probably some of the art direction in the movie, just some of the, like the Peruvian shapes and colors and things that were in the movie.
Yes, throughout both movies, the art direction stuck. So it was the color and the same group of people. It was all the same.
Excellent. Okay, thanks everybody. Good night. Thank you for being here all week. Thank you.
I thought there'd be more.
Yeah, it's not true. Dave Reynolds, when did you get introduced to this project? Like, what was your first exposure to this project?
I was on it when it was Kingdom of the Sun, the first movie.
Right.
And if people know that, that was a bigger, a very grand movie. It did have a Prince and the Pauper sort of element to it. And one of the characters was Prince Cusco, which was David Spade's character. And that stayed the same. I was brought on because it was a pretty dark movie at the time to sort of beef up the comedy and characters there. And while I was on that, we did some of that, and then it switched over to the other.
So while it was kind of migrating from a darker, more serious movie called Kingdom of the Sun, right. The early movie had a lot of terrific visual development art, but it was dark in its look. We put some up on the screen so you could all see kind of where it came from. And it's beautiful, but it didn't quite fit this irreverent comedy that the movie ended up being at the end of the day.
It was a really ambitious movie, the first movie, and then when they decided they wanted to maybe take it a different direction, Mark came to me and Randy and they said, you know, Mark said, I have a different idea for a fast and funny comedy using some of the elements, and mainly the two leads of the movie, Cusco and Yzma, to make it sort of a faster, broader comedy, like more like a Chuck Jones comedy.
Mm-hmm. Steve Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again for coming tonight.
Thank you.
What was your first exposure to this movie?
My first exposure to this movie was actually didn't want to work on it. Maybe I've never said this before.
And we didn't want
waited
you.
until now?
The truth
15 years.
telling
Yeah.
is coming out today. No, I just finished up on Tarzan as a story artist, and I wanted to get on this movie called, at the time it was called Sweating Bullets. And it's what ended up becoming Home on the Range, but I thought how exciting to work on an animated Western. That was something that seemed really new and like it'd be fun to do. So I kept kind of trying to get onto that movie, but I was asked to help out on Kingdom of the Sun for just a few weeks to help them get to a screening.
And that few weeks ended up being 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the
is very
screening where
hurtful.
everything kind of melted down, and then I got a call from Randy saying, "Hey, we want you to be head of story," and I couldn't pass that up. And then I never looked back. I'm happy that I didn't go on to Sweating Bullets.
Chris Williams, how about you? How did you get introduced to this movie?
I think like a lot of the folks on the panel, I was working on the earlier version of the film and was part of the transition to what became The Emperor's New Groove, and I was really excited about the potential. We realized, and people have alluded to this, that the movie was running out of time and running out of money, and we needed to make a movie, and so the idea was, what if we made just a really funny, irreverent cartoon? And I loved that, and I knew that we had, I feel like this movie is a little miracle, because there was one little window of opportunity to make this movie, and we seized it, and I don't think there'll be another Emperor's New Groove, right? This is a rare opportunity, and I think that the one of the things that when you think back now, one of the things that I appreciate is that when we made this film, it was a time when Disney was made masterpieces, and we had the gall to call them masterpieces before they were actually released, right? We would dub them masterpieces. And there was kind of a weight that came with them, and it was starting to become a little bit overwrought. And so for me, the idea that we would make something that was just fun, light, and entertaining, I was really excited by. And so that was, I was all in when I was given the opportunity to work on Emperor's New Groove.
And Mark, we've stayed away from you as long as we could, but this is your chance to enlighten us, because that turn of corner to a more comedic approach really came in large part from you, as I recall.
As a kid, the Warner Brothers cartoons were on television much more than the Disney stuff was, but I loved the Disney stuff. But I had such a love for the Warner Brothers, Chuck Jones, fun, fast-paced kind of animation, that it just, like Chris said, it's hard to imagine like all the elements coming together that allowed for that to happen. And there were so many, and like you said, I don't think it would happen again. But one time I heard someone describe it as the best Warner Brothers cartoon Disney's ever made. I thought that was a great compliment. Yeah.
And it was a time when irreverence was not associated with feature animated films. That, if you think now, it's like, well, all the Shrek films have happened, and people really associate feature animation with irreverence. And that was not the case when this film was made, so we were breaking new ground.
We were, and like you said, there wasn't any time, so no one could stop us.
I was going to say that. They could not literally stop us.
No, they tried.
I think they needed a movie
Lock the
in
doors
theater.
from the inside.
They just needed a movie in the theater, and
Well, it was pre-sold, and a lot of the toys were made, and they had committed to all these things. And so I think the studio was pretty happy just to have a movie.
Wasn't it 2 years? Like 2 years from from the switch to being in the theater. 2 years.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
So
and it really felt, like when you're at a stuffy party and there's the adult table and then there's the kid table. And when I finally got to the adult table as a kid, I thought, this is really boring. I want to go back to the other table. So I felt like Emperor's New Groove was on. As long as you children just don't break any of the stuff. Just,
China.
Just go over there and play, and that's what I kind of remember the experience being.
It is, and the project attracted a lot of people like that. Like I think of some of the animators that were just stars in the show, like Dale Bear and Nick Ranieri, who are actually here tonight. That's why I'm mentioning their names.
Where are they?
Yeah.
Please stand.
Dale Bear did Eastma, and Nick Ranieri, who did not do Eastma.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are brilliant and love animation and hand-drawn animation. They're just brilliant actors and comedians. although you wouldn't know it if you walked up to him on the street. So the corners turned. What was the casting like? Like you had some of your voices in place, but what was your kind of principal casting choices, or where did the characters come from? Like, where's the character like Kronk come from?
Well, Kronk came from
Chris.
Chris Williams.
It's all Chris involved.
The name and everything. It came from Chris Williams. He pitched us, Mark and I and Randy, he pitched us a little sequence where it was a guard, and Cusco walks up to him and goes, what do you do? Or something like this, and he goes, what do? I do 600 sit-ups, I do 400 push-ups, I do and I work on the abs, I work on your core. And he just did this riff of a guard who all he thought about was how he worked out. And he pitched that to me, and I go, oh my God, that's Patrick Warburton. At first I said, that's Putty from Seinfeld.
That's Putty, yeah.
And they go, who? And then everybody's like, who? And when we were trying to pitch that to the executives, we'd had to give them clips of Seinfeld to show him who, and they go, oh, right.
Oh, that guy.
But he came up with the name and everything. And
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's good. We'll say that in front of you. And Yzma was one of the characters that was actually in the older version of the film, Kingdom of the Sun, and went across. Randy, can you talk just about like the casting choice on that, and then it turned out to be this incredibly comedic role.
Yzma was amazing and crazy and zany, and we Eartha Kitt was just threw herself 100% into the role and made it a part of herself. And she also, Sting had written a song or two for her in the first version that was incredible, that we had to explain to Sting that we would no longer be using. And that was a bad moment, but we had a lot of bad moments. Anyway.
This is actually like group therapy 15 years later.
like Dr. Phil here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Dr. Phil, so please bear with us. Well, I remember
Randy's working through some things.
I remember many Sting stories, and we can't tell a lot of them because we're streaming live somewhere, but we went over to his house in Malibu.
Yes.
So Randy and Mark and myself went to Sting's house in the Malibu colony. There's a guard you have to get by to get in, and I don't think I'd ever been there before. And we were all in the same car, and kind of went there. And then there was a film crew there filming us visiting Sting's house. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I remember going in and we were all going to greet Sting, so we all hugged Sting, which is the first time I've ever hugged Sting. And then the awkward thing was the director of the documentary said, I didn't quite get that. Could you do that again?
Yeah, we had to do it twice.
So we had to leave and come back and hug Sting a second
Another
time.
hug. Yeah.
Very awkward. I'm still in therapy.
We're all sort of still thinking about that, aren't we?
I'm going to be thinking about it for a long time. Steve, when you started looking at some of these characters, Cusco, star of the show, David Spade, well-known comedian. What were some of the thoughts on kind of developing that character and turning him into the character he became on the screen? It's a tough kind of character. He could have been really kind of bitter and unappealing, I suppose is the word.
Yeah, I mean, I loved what Chris had done in his early storyboard sequences that he'd written and boarded, and really created that character of Cusco. I liked Cusco. I thought he was really entertaining. I laughed at him, but I couldn't personally connect to him. Not that the character wasn't good, but just for me personally, I was kind of looking for, okay, well, I like that guy, I like watching him, but what's the balance for this guy? How are we gonna find the heart to balance out this guy with all the edge? And coming up, there'll be a drawing that Chris did of Pacha, one of his early Pacha drawings. And I remember that drawing I really responded to, because there's a real peace and just kind of a wistfulness about Pacha in the drawing that he did. And I thought, that guy I understand, and that guy is gonna be a great foil and a great balance for Cusco. We're going to have the heart with Pacha, but we'll have all the humor and the energy and the edginess, if you will, with Cusco. And I thought that was a really exciting combo.
Randy, you had to direct your cast up here. What were some of the high points and low points of directing this? Because it's a pretty amazing cast with John Goodman and Wendy Malick. You add to it.
They were all nice except David Spade.
Who was extraordinarily nice.
It was extra nice, as we we stream live, to the world.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll go down at the Los Angeles police station.
And seriously, they were worried about me on this panel.
Yeah. No, it's true. He was well, at times perhaps tired or...
He had worked on both.
Yeah, he had done the whole
both
first
versions
movie.
of the film. So by the time we came around for the second film, he goes, "We're going again."
Yeah.
he was ready.
We had to do,
Start
yeah, he
over
was ready
again.
to start over.
He wanted to check it out.
Eartha didn't even know we were filming the whole thing.
No.
We just kept doing it.
And actors are always told that everything's going great. Everyone loves the movie, right?
Always.
And then one day you come to them and say, actually, that got thrown away. And they don't know what to think. And so when you come back and say, we're making another movie, they're a little bit trepidatious at first. So understandably, David Spade was a little bit, nervous about it.
We had embraced that we were incompetent, but it was new to him.
Well said.
We had that down long ago. Yeah, there was no joke there.
There's nothing really to add to that.
Hey, you know what? Going back to character development, Chris and the story guys and Steve, Chris did a drawing and he did the thing where he kicks open the door and you did Boom Bam Baby. It was the thing that you did. It wasn't on the page. You just did it as an entrance for him, and that sort of informed me and the rest of the story people how his character was, and some of the things like when he would spin a chair and sit down, or those little moments. I think the storyboard guys brought out of the writing, and then I could go back and rewrite, knowing now what this character was. So I think that was the cool part of it, is that we didn't have a lot of time. We were writing it and recording it and animating it all at the same time. And every once in a while, the studio would say, "We need a big thing to animate," because there's a lot of animators sitting around doing nothing. So we would have to write ahead, like the river scene where they're tied to the log. We had to write that out, give it to them, and then remember that we had to go to it later. We couldn't change the movie because
no matter what the story was.
Because we came up with a different thing, and we go, "Oh, they don't have to go on the log on the river anymore." They go, "Oh, they're going on the log. He's going on that goddamn log."
There was no choice.
You got 300 people just animating the river. You're going on the log ride.
Yeah.
So,
And they did.
I mean, a lot of the movie was the search for the tone, the exact tone. We were in a little bit uncharted territory, and we weren't sure what was too broad from writing standpoint or boarding standpoint, or what should this movie feel like. And I remember I boarded that scene where the angel and devil are talking to each other. He's doing the one-arm push-ups and all that. And I pitched it, and it went over, and it seemed to be like, this is actually going to be in the movie? Like, really? This movie can contain this? But then I remember another day, I pitched a scene that involved live-action footage of the space shuttle.
right. You wanted the space shuttle in the
movie. And I could tell by their faces that was not going to be in the movie. So I figured out one of the boundaries, and so we were sort of feeling it out as we went.
I remember that.
The talking llama was fine, all that stuff was fine, but the space shuttle, one too many.
Yeah, it's
terrible.
I do remember, though, what was fun in the story session was, like you could work on a serious movie, and there's a certain amount of time where you just sort of joke around, like, well, maybe Bambi's mother does this, and everybody laughs.
Right.
But Bambi's mother's never going to do that. But in this, aside from the space shuttle,
Spoiler? Bambi's
Sorry
spoiler?
to all of our small children in the audience.
Anybody spoiler on Bambi's mother's fine, but
She'll be in the lobby signing autographs.
oh yeah, she's good. She's out in the woods.
She's in the woods playing with Feline.
She's cavorting. It's all good.
Back to you, Randy.
Oh, gee.
but aside from like the space shuttle, that was one that was just a little beyond. It was kind of fun when someone would say, "What if?" Like I remember when they raced back to the castle at the end, and we had to figure out a way that Yzma and Kronk got there first. And we were all sitting there and trying to come up with logic, and maybe it was Don Hahn that said, "What if they just don't know?"
Right.
We said,
Perfect. Yeah.
and remember when Yzma as a kid, he's falling from the tower, how are we going to get back up? And then, again, someone said, what if there's just a trampoline?
Guys delivering a trampoline.
Like that.
It works somehow.
It was hard to pitch an idea that couldn't be in this movie.
Yeah.
Which was kind of fun. Made our jobs easier.
The space shuttle was.
And they were always the story guys were really, and girls were really great about this stuff. They would pick, like, In fact, Stevie Wormer pitched the Cusco. Hate your face. I hate your face. Shoot your fag. And it's like, but actually, she pitched that out. She said she was
Before Donald Trump.
Yeah, he was dating at the time, and it wasn't going well. So she pitched that scene, and we actually had to tone it back for what she put. But the thing is, all the story people would pitch these things. And I would incorporate it and then run it past Mark, and it all went into the script. Like, and Chris did the thing about when Cusco's looking at Yzma for the first time, and then obviously he zeroes in on the spinach on her teeth. He goes, "How long has that been there?" And the thing is, all that sort of stuff happened in the story room, and they made it better. And then I could just write because they're setting the tone, and so everybody just kept trying to make the room laugh. And it made the film funnier.
It's a real story film, and the story guys contributed a lot to it. We're heading towards the film. We could go on for hours, I'm sure, but the film is actually quite good.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, I have a little clip of Sting here working on the film, and working with probably the most unlikely casting choice in the whole film, Tom Jones. Let's take a look. This is Tuscany, 11 months before the film. We're not invited.
It's been 2.5 years.
2 years last February. And
We were young men when we started this thing.
Yo.
The gag is the stop on the word trees, rather than the whole line. The last time we tried this, we just had a piano. It wasn't really vibey. I wasn't in the right mood. But Dave's done a great arrangement of the song, with instrument, saxophone, trumpets and stuff, and rhythm section, and it's got a vibe. So we're going to have another go at it. Give it our best shot and see what happens.
There are despots and dictators, political manipulators. There are blue bloods with the intellects of please.
Sounds nothing like this.
There are kings and petty tyrants who are so lacking in refinement. They'd be better suited swinging from the trees.
Like many Disney animated films, our story leads us to Las Vegas.
Sting didn't want to do the song, he decided not to do that, and everybody decided somewhere along the line that Tom Jones was the man.
Oh yeah! Ow!
So I come out and hang out with Tom Jones.
What? You pussycat? Theme song. Oh yeah!
He's the Solomon of the nation. He's the hypostatic creation. He's the Alpha, the Omega, A to Z. And this perfect rule was him. Around his every lip to him. Cause his perfect world begins and ends with what's his name? Cusco! That's his name! He's the king of the world! Is he hip or what?
Oh, voy a más por no.
No!
All right. That's in the movie, we think, yes. It is. This is our beautiful story crew, and as we said earlier, this is such a story-centric movie, so many of them are here tonight, and we thank you. We won't embarrass you by having you stand by, but if you could squat, that would be, Anyway, we love these people. They really made this movie great, and made it all work. And story is
And then they went bowling.
They went bowling, yeah. Which is a
my
traditional
birthday.
Was it your birthday?
I think it was my birthday.
Oh, that's good.
You don't remember.
So we brought along some sketches. When I say we, I mean...
Yes, story artist Stevie Wormer, she's a huge Julie Andrews fan, so she took the opportunity to make a little mashup of Sound of Music and Emperor's New Groove.
Stevie, are you here? Stevie's here.
Stevie should be here.
There she is. Stevie Wonder, right over here.
You had to put up with that on TV for a year and a half.
Yeah. Stevie, story artist, director,
Director of Prep and Landing, Battle of the Mist.
some more serious stuff.
Yeah, so you know at the end of the movie, I think it's not a spoiler, I'm sure most of you have seen it, but Yzma turns into a cat, a little kitty cat at the end. She didn't always turn into a kitty cat. And this was our resident wise guy, Jeff Ranjo, who did this great.
And Jeff's here tonight.
Great idea. Jeff's here.
Jeff
Ranjo's here?
Jeff Ranjo.
Oh, he's adorable. He is absolutely adorable. And he's first with the baby.
We'll be raffling him off later.
Take him home. Anyone needs to know how Jar Jar Binks was created, you take Roger Rabbit, you add a computer, and Jar Jar Binks. Jeff Ranjo and Chris Williams came up with that.
That has nothing to do with the movie, but we thought it was funny.
Another one of our great story artists, John Norton. I don't know if John Norton's here. Is
John Norton
here? Did John Norton come tonight?
Is it only our story crews in the audience?
Well, no, I think
He did a lot of great stuff. One thing in particular, a little deleted scene that happened was in the second act of the movie. We used to stay in Pacha's village instead of go on the road, and there was a weird kind of conspiracy theorist character named Mochi, voiced by Adam West.
Adam West
was actually hired and recorded because all this stuff was written and boarded, but it got.
Yeah, the storyline was that he thought he was going to break Cusco out of the village, and Cusco thought he was real. And then one day he took him to a secret lair, and he showed that his other mercenaries were a bunch of scarecrows.
I think it's important to point out that the film was made without the aid of pharmaceuticals.
Right, but if you didn't have them, that was better.
That was better than pharmaceuticals, yeah. Mark Dindal, can you talk about these? These are your beautiful drawings. I love these.
I think were these all when we sat in editorial?
I don't remember. I had them pinned up on my desk for the whole movie.
I don't really know.
You can see the pinholes up there.
Oh, okay.
All these were pinned up on my desk because I loved your shorthand.
Sometimes we sat in editorial and would draw little things, or I would just do doodles at night, I guess, to, for character designs.
Nice doodles.
Why?
This is what Academy Award winners do. Don Hahn, the Academy Award winning director of Big Hero 6, along with Chris Williams. One day I walked into my cube and this was on my desk. I don't know what that was all about. But that's how he is.
And Don Hahn is here tonight, aren't you?
Don Hall's here.
He still feels that way.
You still feel that way?
That's a current drawing.
What's that?
He still feels that way.
Still does, yeah.
He does. It's never changed.
I have one on every movie. Different character.
Chris Williams.
Those are Chris Williams.
So this is the one, right? This is one of them right here that Kronk was sort of originated from this guy.
And that was the Pacha one I was talking about. That was really.
And then Chris did a fun little thing where he drew everybody in the story cap, and everybody was naked, and you were holding what you did. So I'm holding a bunch of script pages here.
Good thing.
That's also for sale.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for those script pages.
We have that.
Later went on to win Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Tells you about something about the Academy.
It says, yeah. Oh, speaking of which,
There you go.
there's Chris and Don Hall winning their Academy Award for Big Hero 6. I don't know how that got in here. Some terrible mistake, but we're damn proud of it.
Keep that slide on. I like that slide.
Really? We'll stay on this for a while. Very proud. Steve Anderson, this is about a sequence that was cut from the movie.
I forgot about it until I just saw this, but there were many different versions when they stayed in the village before they went on the road. And one of them was the town was having a pickle festival.
That was their expertise. They were known for their pickles.
That's right. Yeah,
throughout the land in Peru.
We were inspired by it. What were we inspired by?
It was like an Andy Griffith kind of thing. We talked a lot about Mayberry, like Pacha's Village would be a bunch of, kind of.
Spent a lot of time at delis. We were at the delis.
I think we ate a lot of pickles during the show, so it was slow. It's true. So we're rifling towards the film now, I promise you, but I had to show you these costumes because there's as with all of you here tonight, there's a tremendous following for this film. It's become kind of a cult film, and people know the lyrics to the songs, and they dress up like the characters, like many of you tonight. and we appreciate it so much. And they're one of the best costumes we've ever seen. We brought along to show to you tonight. And that's So this is just to all inspire you for next time we get together, or next time you run the Disneyland 10K, you can dress up as almost anything you want. So parting thoughts here, I just want to get from Mark, just what does this mean? 15 years later, you're sitting here with a bunch of fans.
Oh, it's fantastic because we're making this movie and just having fun and I mean, it really was just the process of doing it with everybody, working on the film and then to find this enthusiasm this many years after is just really rewarding.
Randy?
It was a terror ride.
It's over. It turned out okay.
Physicians are standing by for Randy. Chris, Steve, any final thoughts? Or are you just ready to run the damn movie?
Well, I mean, it really was. It's great to be up here with you guys. I haven't seen a couple of you guys in a while, once it kicked into gear, there was such a strong sense that we were galvanizing around Mark, around what this movie could be, and I'll be proud of it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'd say it was, without question, one of the best experiences in my career. It was one of the most fun, working with the story team, Chris, working with Dave, coming up with the movie, Mark and, I almost called you Dave Dindal. Mark and Randy, one of the best directing, producing teams I've worked with. It was fantastic. It was really a great experience, and I thank everybody for that.
Dave Reynolds, in under 20 minutes, what do you say?
As a young boy, I always dreamed. You got some time? We have time, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Go back further. All right. Your parents came to America. On Krypton, we always had a rule. Jor-El, you don't tell me what to do, I'm out of here. This is actually what it was like every day to go to work with these folks and the people in the story team that's out here. We were very fortunate that a lot of these misfits couldn't get on other movies, so we all came together. And once Mark sort of set the tone that anything was an option, if he made everyone laugh, or it was smart and moved the story along, well, that was just a bonus. But if it moved the story along, it really was so much fun to work on this that at times we were finished early, but we had to delay handing stuff in, not to production, but just because we liked hanging out in the storyroom together. It was a lot of fun, and I've worked on a lot of shows, and this was the most fun 2 years I've ever had. So thank you very much for this.
It's true. So it's time, as you can tell, we love this movie, and
did we give away those?
No. The posters? Yes, we did.
Oh, we did?
The posters.
People get the posters?
Okay, good. And the spinach post. Thank you to our panel for being here, and also to the people that worked on this film that are with us in the audience. Joe Mosier, our character designers out there. So many great people. Dale Bear, Nick Canary, story crew. So we are grateful to you guys for helping to create this movie, and we're grateful to all of you tonight for joining us for this 15th anniversary screening of The Emperor's New Groove. Here we go.
See you in 5 years.